Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Carol Bannons and I'm a certified grief to gratitude coach. And I'm a widow of almost 5 years. Now today, I wanted to talk about the stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief. And if you are a griever, then you almost certainly have heard of these because you've probably Googled, how do I cope with grief? What's grief like? How long will grief last? And what comes up are 5 stages of grief. Now, where did they come from and what are they? So Elisabeth Kübler-Ross was a psychiatrist, and in 1969 she wrote this book called On Death and Dying, and it was a landmark book. She took the time to interview people who were terminally ill, and she wanted to know how are they feeling? What are their thoughts as they're going through this journey, their last journey, their transition from this world to wherever they may go next. And she included the medical professionals. She had them in there with them as she interviewed these people. And it was really an incredible book to have people talking about death, because death really is still a taboo subject. It was then and it is now. We're not so open about it. And she opened us up to talking to people and, more importantly, listening. How are they feeling? What are their thoughts? And she came up with these 5 stages that people went through: anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, later on, she said, yes, people may go through them all. They may not go through them all in that particular order. And I can remember after Brian died, of course, I did that Googling and how am I going to cope? What am I going to do? And up popped these 5 stages of grief. And I read them and I thought, well, that's weird. I'm not going through those. That doesn't seem right. And the interesting thing is, and here's the point that I want to make, is these 5 stages were written for people who were terminally ill. They were not actually specifically for grievers. And the trouble is now, as a griever, these 5 stages of grief pop up and we think, oh, I need to go through these. Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to do grief. And it isn't. They weren't written for you. Might you go through some of these stages? Yes, you might. But the thing is, it puts an added stress on if you think this is the blueprint for you working through your grief. Maybe you're not in denial. I know I wasn't angry, and I certainly didn't think I could bargain him back again. So the stages of grief can be a bit discombobulating if you're trying to figure out what to do. They weren't written for you. They were written for the terminally ill. And so as you're going through your grief, you need to remember something really, really important. It is unique to you. And the way we grieve depends so much on our religious backgrounds, our cultural backgrounds, our experiences of loss before, how other people have demonstrated how to deal with grief. Maybe there's been a loss in your family and you've seen how your family deal with grief. Maybe you've just never had anybody die before. So all of these things play a part. Even your own mental health plays a part in how you'll grieve. There is no nice linear way of going through it. It is not a step-by-step process in the sense of going through stages. So I really wanted to bring that to your awareness. Don't get caught up in the 5 stages of grief. Move beyond it, knowing that you might go through some of them, but it's not that blueprint for you. You'll do it in your own way. You'll do it in your own time. And you should always do it with support, because it's a hard journey to go through. And in fact, I'm quite excited because I'm going to be launching in March a group program called Surviving Grief. It's going to be an 8-week program, and I'll tell you more about it if you want to message me. But I want to help people go through this process because it's really a challenging journey to take on your own. Anyway, I hope that has clarified a little bit more about the stages of grief. Remember, they were written for the terminally ill, or they were written when Elisabeth Kübler-Ross interviewed the terminally ill. We have kind of transferred it to the grievers, but it may not be totally appropriate for you. So don't get hung up on it if it doesn't apply to you. It's okay. Grieve in your own way. Remember that. Okay, I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.